about yourself?
My name is Jurij Meden. I am curator of film exhibitions at the Jurij Museum.
Okay, what are your thoughts on an initiative like this one?
Well, I think that this is not only a great and important initiative, I think that this is a deeply necessary initiative. And that would be my thoughts in a nutshell.
Okay, so when you said it's a deeply necessary initiative, can you expand a little bit on that?
Well, I mean, the whole purpose of this workshop here is to underline the importance of film preservation through teaching you how to preserve films. And the underlining idea here is that film history and history in general is something which is tremendously important, because by studying history, by being informed about history, we are not only studying history, we are actually effectively creating blueprints for the future, because we cannot conceive possible futures unless we know what our history is. Knowledge, in other words. So it's deeply important to preserve films, because again, by doing that, we are preserving our culture, we are preserving our knowledge, we are preserving the knowledge of who we were, who we are, and where we are headed.
Okay. And a little bit more on your role.
Yeah, so my official title at the Jurij Museum is Curator of Film Exhibitions. And this is maybe a little bit a bit of a fancy description for I'm a film programmer. I select which films will be shown at our historic Dryden Theater. I envision the program, I find the best possible prints, I write program notes, I introduce the films. And we call it film exhibition, we don't call it film screening, we don't call it film programming, because when we are showing films within a museum environment, within the context of a film archive, we are never just simply screening a film, we are usually exhibiting very precious artifacts from our collection. And the screen is never just a screen, it becomes an exhibition space. We are effectively doing what any art museum would be doing if they would be exhibiting a painting from their collection, which is why we call it film exhibition, to underline the importance. And we also call it exhibition because by saying film exhibition, we are referring to the entire process of exhibiting film, because we believe at the Jurij Museum that it's important to not only preserve films, but to preserve also the original way in which those films were presented. That means not only preserving 35mm prints, but also 35mm projectors and the knowledge how to handle those projectors. Because what we want to do in the end is we want to enable contemporary audiences let's say an authentic cinematographic experience. We want them to experience films in exactly the same way in which our fathers and grandfathers and grandfathers saw it, which is why we call it film exhibition and not just film screening, and which is why my position is curator of film exhibitions and not merely a film programmer, which is what many other venues use, but effectively I'm doing the same thing.
Okay, when you said that the experience of film needs to be in the way the forefathers or forefathers have experienced it, but don't you think the audience has essentially changed, or their way of viewing the film or experiencing the film has changed?
Oh, absolutely. The audience has changed, the world has changed, but if we won't do it, nobody else will do it. And people usually mistakenly think that we insist on showing film for the sake of showing films, or because we think that this is the best possible way, and that 35mm is superior in quality to digital, which might be true, but that's not the point here. The point is that as archives, as museums, we simply exhibit the artifacts, the objects, in the way they were originally exhibited. So if you want to see a painting by a famous painter, you will go to a gallery and see the painting which hangs on the wall of the gallery. And no art gallery will ever make a perfect color photocopy and put it on the wall and say, well, that's it, it's the same thing. Of course, you might see that painting in a book, and you might see it on a computer monitor if you Google it, but you will really only say that you saw a painting by Picasso or Mona Lisa once you've been to a museum or a gallery and see it and saw it on the wall hanging. And that's, to me, the sole reason why we're doing it. Just, preserving knowledge, preserving the way these things were seen. Now, often, or maybe even more often than not, seeing the film in such a way is a fundamentally different experience than seeing it in a digital form, as a DCP or on a mobile phone. So that's also important.
The digital era right now, and everything is born digital nowadays. Do you really think celluloid has a chance of coming back, or what do you think will be the next generation of film?
Celluloid will never come back. Factories have stopped making celluloid. But the film heritage on celluloid exists, it's here, and it's our job to protect it. So again, this is not celluloid versus digital. We do live in a digital world, there's no avoiding that. But it's also very important that we just simply preserve the way films were seen originally. Because again, if we don't do it, who else will do it? Nobody else. Which is why it's important that film archives and film museums do it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.